Borders are lines that divide countries, but they are more than just lines on a map. Sometimes, these borders can create conflicts, confusion, or even curiosity because of how unique or strange they are. From moving rivers to complex enclaves, border disputes have often been the source of tension between nations. This video dives into the top 10 most unusual border disputes in the world, where history, geography, and politics collide in fascinating ways. 10. The river shifts between Colombia and Venezuela. The border between Colombia and Venezuela is marked by several rivers, including the Orinoco and the Arauca. These rivers, much like the border between Bolivia and Paraguay, have a habit of shifting course over time, which can lead to disputes over territory. In recent years, the border has become a flashpoint due to the political and economic crises in Venezuela. Thousands of Venezuelans have crossed the border into Colombia in search of food, medicine, and work, putting a strain on relations between the two countries. The shifting rivers and the growing number of migrants have made this border one of the most unstable in South America. 9. The border between Belgium and the Netherlands. The Belgium-Netherlands border is uniquely dynamic, primarily due to the Meuse River, which serves as part of the boundary between the two countries. The river's natural erosion causes it to shift over time, meaning land on one side can gradually move to the other side, altering the border. To address this unusual situation, Belgium and the Netherlands reached an agreement in 2016 to manage the moving border amicably. Instead of allowing disputes to arise, they exchanged small parcels of land, ensuring a fair and peaceful solution. This arrangement highlights how natural forces can influence national boundaries, showcasing a rare instance where nature, not politics, shapes the landscape of international borders. This collaborative approach stands out in global diplomacy, demonstrating the country's commitment to maintaining harmonious relations despite the challenges posed by their ever-changing geography. 8. The Enclave. Tangle between India and Bangladesh. India and Bangladesh share a 4,000-kilometer border. That's not just one of the longest in the world, but also one of the most complicated. What makes this border particularly bizarre are the many enclaves and counter-enclaves that have existed along it. An enclave is a small area of land owned by one country, but located entirely within another country's territory. Along the India-Bangladesh border, there used to be over 200 enclaves, making it nearly impossible to draw a clean boundary. To make matters even more complex, some of these enclaves were counter-enclaves, meaning an enclave within an enclave. There was even a counter-counter enclave, an Indian piece of land inside a Bangladeshi enclave inside an Indian enclave. It wasn't until 2015 that the two countries finally resolved the issue by swapping land and eliminating the enclaves. However, this complicated border setup still stands as one of the strangest in history. 7. The wooden fence between Finland and Russia. The border between Finland and Russia stretches over 1,300 kilometers and is one of the most strictly controlled in the world. A unique feature of this border is the massive wooden fence built by Finland in the 1920s, intended to prevent smuggling and illegal crossings. Unlike typical garden fences, this enormous wooden structure runs along much of the border. Its primary purpose was to combat smuggling during the early years of Finland's independence from Russia. Although the border has since been reinforced with more modern security measures, this historical wooden fence remains significant, as it can be seen from space. It symbolizes Finland's determination to maintain control over its territory and uphold its sovereignty during a pivotal time in its history. The fence stands as a remarkable reminder of the challenges faced by the young nation. 6. The mountain peaks. Between Chile and Argentina. The border between Chile and Argentina follows the peaks of the Andes Mountains, one of the world's tallest mountain ranges. This seemingly clear-cut geographical boundary presents challenges due to the extreme altitudes of many peaks, making it difficult to pinpoint the exact borderline. As a result, several regions along this mountainous frontier remain contested. Both nations have historically enjoyed amicable relations. However, disputes occasionally arise over territorial claims, particularly regarding ownership of specific high-altitude areas. These tensions can escalate, leading to diplomatic discussions aimed at resolving the disagreements. The Andes not only serve as a natural divide, but also hold cultural and environmental significance for both countries. Efforts to clarify the border have been complicated by the rugged terrain and changing environmental conditions, underscoring the ongoing complexities of international borders in mountainous regions. 5. The barbed wire fence between India and Pakistan. One of the most contentious borders in the world is between India and Pakistan, two nuclear-armed neighbors with a long history of conflict. This border, known as the Line of Control, LOC, is marked by a long barbed wire fence that stretches across hundreds of miles. The fence was built to prevent illegal crossings and terrorist infiltrations, but it has also been the source of violent clashes between the two countries. What makes this border particularly unusual is that it divides not just land, but families, cultures, and histories. Before the partition of British India in 1947, India and Pakistan were part of the same country. The sudden creation of this border led to mass migrations, and to this day, people living near the LOC often find themselves caught between two conflicting worlds. 4. The disputed border between Bhutan and China. Bhutan and China share a border in the high Himalayas, but this border is often unclear due to long-standing disputes. The two nations have never fully agreed on its exact location, resulting in several contested areas along this remote frontier. The lack of formal diplomatic relations further complicates efforts to resolve these issues. One of the most notable disputes involves the Doklam Plateau, strategically significant as it lies at the trijunction of Bhutan, China, and India. In 2017, tensions escalated when Chinese and Indian troops faced off in this region, drawing global attention to the dispute. Bhutan, a small and peaceful nation, navigates a challenging position between its powerful neighbors, balancing its sovereignty while managing complex geopolitical dynamics. The ongoing border disputes highlight the intricate relationships in South Asia and the difficulties smaller countries face when dealing with larger regional powers. 3. The shifting mountains. Between Saudi Arabia and Yemen. The border between Saudi Arabia and Yemen is marked by rugged mountain ranges that create a challenging and often ambiguous boundary. Historically, the tribes inhabiting these mountains have largely ignored national borders, moving freely between the two countries without concern for political boundaries. This long-standing tradition of mobility reflects the deep-rooted tribal culture in the region, where allegiances often outweigh national affiliations. However, the situation has drastically changed in recent years. The border region has become a flashpoint for conflict, as differing interpretations of the boundary have led to frequent skirmishes and clashes between Saudi and Yemeni forces. The ongoing civil war in Yemen has only exacerbated tensions, drawing in various regional and international players and further complicating the already volatile situation. Today, this disputed border is regarded as one of the most dangerous in the world. The combination of geographical challenges, tribal dynamics, and geopolitical interests creates a complex landscape fraught with risk, making any efforts at resolution increasingly difficult. 2. The river dispute between Bolivia and Paraguay. The border between Bolivia and Paraguay is delineated by the Pilcomayo River, but rivers are known for shifting their courses over time. This natural phenomenon has created significant challenges for both countries, leading to disputes regarding the exact location of the border. One of the most notable conflicts over this border was the Chaco War, which took place from 1932 to 1935. The war arose partly from disputes over the arid Chaco region, which both nations believed held valuable oil resources. Ultimately, Paraguay emerged victorious, gaining control of most of the disputed territory. Despite the war's conclusion, tensions over the border continue to arise, particularly as the Pilcomayo River changes its course, forcing both Bolivia and Paraguay to reconsider their territorial claims and resource management in the region. 1. The bloody border between Ethiopia and Eritrea. The border dispute between Ethiopia and Eritrea is one of the most violent and long-lasting on this list. Eritrea gained independence from Ethiopia in 1993 after a long and brutal war, but the two countries soon found themselves fighting again over where their new borders should be. The most contentious area is a small town called Badme, which both countries claim as their own. From 1998 to 2000, Ethiopia and Eritrea fought a bloody war over this border, resulting in tens of thousands of deaths. Even after the war officially ended, tensions remained high. In 2018, the two countries signed a peace agreement, and Ethiopia finally recognized Eritrea's sovereignty over Badme. However, the border remains heavily militarized, and the wounds from the conflict are still fresh. In conclusion, border disputes extend beyond mere territorial or political conflicts. They often reveal a complex web of historical, geographical, and human factors. From rivers that shift course to enclaves within enclaves, the top 10 unusual border disputes illustrate how intricate international boundaries can be. While some disputes have been resolved peacefully, others continue to simmer with tension. These scenarios highlight the ongoing interplay of nature, history, and human miscalculations in shaping borders. Ultimately, they remind us that our understanding of boundaries is fluid, influenced by a myriad of factors that can lead to intrigue or even violence. If you enjoyed our video, consider subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching.